is Bean to Barstool, a podcast that looks at the intersections of craft beer and craft chocolate. My name is David Nilsson. I'm a professional beer writer and an advanced cicerone, and the creator and host of this show. The music for this episode is by my dear friend, indie folk musician Anna P.S. You can find out more about Anna's music in the show notes or at her website, annapsmusic.com. You can find links and information about our guests in the show notes as well. I hope you enjoy this episode of Bean to Barstool. Today we're going to talk about pairing craft chocolate with the beers brewed at the popular Belgian brewery Chimay. The Chimay line of Belgian ales are brewed at Scourmont Abbey in bucolic Chimay, Belgium, under the supervision of the Trappist monks who call the abbey home. The monastery was founded in 1850 and has been brewing and selling beer to support the upkeep of the property and the lives of the brothers since 1862. Chimay also produces a line of excellent cheeses, some of them with rinds washed in Chimay beer. Chimay is a Trappist certified brewery, a legal designation protected by the International Trappist Order. In order to earn the certification, a brewery has to meet the following qualifications. The beer must be brewed on the grounds of the abbey. The brewing operations must be overseen by the monks, though they are allowed to have laypersons as employees. All profits from the sale of the beer must go to supporting the abbey or to the abbey's charitable causes, and the beer must be of a quality deserving of the Trappist name. Belgium has a rich monastic brewing tradition, and accordingly, the beer styles most commonly associated with Trappist brewing are all Belgian, double, triple, and quadruple. While these styles do roughly scale upward in strength, you can ignore the multipliers. A double isn't directly double anything, and so on. Belgian brewers aren't always too worried about sticking to style guidelines, as we'll see in just a few minutes, but all these styles share the distinctive character of Belgian ale yeasts, which tend to contribute a lot of their own flavors and aromas to the finished beer, typically gentle fruitiness and baking spice notes. Many Belgian beer styles pair beautifully with craft and bean-to-bar chocolate, and the beers of the Chimay line exemplify this. Let's talk about chocolate pairings for Chimay's Trappist ales. Doré, or the gold-labeled bottle, is Chimay's lightest beer, and it has only recently been released here in the United States. Doré is a potter's beer, or father's beer, a relatively low-alcohol beer consumed by the monks during their daily meals. This 4.8% ABV example is spiced, and though Chimay does not share the specific spices they include, it's pretty obvious coriander is the dominant addition, and there seems to be some orange peel in there as well. As both of these spice additions are commonly used in Belgian wit beer, Doré is very similar in flavor profile to that style. Doré has notes of peppery coriander, background orange peel, and gentle pear with some lightly toasty malt flavors. Doré is a very delicate beer, so it needs a laid-back dance partner on the chocolate side. Caramelized white chocolates or white chocolates with gentle fruit or spice additions provide an easy complementary option. If you want to go a slightly more robust direction, try a bar like Manawa's Hopia Coconut, a 60% cacao dark milk bar made with coconut. Coriander has a light coconut note to it, and this bar pulls that forward without losing the spice. The soft fruit notes from the Belgian fermentation also harmonize nicely with the tropical coconut, and the silky smooth dark milk chocolate pulls out some of the toasty notes from the malt. Premier, or the red-labeled bottle, is one of the most popular and widely available of Chimay's beers, along with Cinquante and Grand Reserve, which we'll get to in a moment. Premier is a double, a brown Belgian ale of moderate strength and a balance of malt and fermentation flavors. This beer isn't spiced, so it's all about those foundational ingredients. Doubles find a perfect textural union with dark milk chocolates. The fullness and moderate sweetness of these bars plays on the smooth mouthfeel of the beer, while pulling forward its caramel and dried fruit flavors. Premier weighs in at 7% ABV, and it has notes of plum and cherry and brown sugar in a dry body with mild bitterness. Pairing it with a dark milk bar such as Chocolat Café Ecuador Camino Verde 56% is an excellent option. Additionally, you can look at baking spice inclusions as long as they aren't overly sharp. You can look at single origin bars, a little bit lower percentage, maybe around 70%, as long as they're relatively low acidity and low bitterness. And additionally, bars that have caramelized ingredients or other dark sugar inclusions can also work very well. Cinq-Cent, the white-labeled Chimay bottle, was first brewed in 1986 for the 500th anniversary of the town of Chimay, and it proved so popular it became part of the brewery's permanent lineup. Cinq-Cent is a triple, a pale Belgian ale style of considerable strength. Despite being quite high in alcohol, triples are fairly light and drinkable for their strength. This is due largely to the use of Belgian candy sugar during brewing, which ferments out entirely without leaving behind the body or weight that malt would. This allows a brewer to achieve a high alcohol content without a correspondingly heavy body. This has to be done carefully, though, so the alcohol flavor doesn't become harsh. Triples shine with bars with spice or sugar flavors that complement their malt and fruity esters without amplifying their bitterness. Milk or dark chocolates in the 50 to 70% range that feature dark sugars or warm but gentle baking spices are ideal, and bars at the lower end of that range with herbal or floral inclusions can work as well, so long as the planty notes aren't overly bitter. Cinq-Cent is 8% ABV and has soft pear and young banana notes against a grassy, bracing hop bitterness with light background spice. I paired this with Mocha Origin's Lemon Ginger, a 72% cacao dark chocolate made with Ugandan cacao. The lemon, ginger, and pear notes combine to give the impression of a lightly spiced lemon apple tea. The ginger played against the grassy hops without getting harsh and even tugged forward some of the beer's fermentation spice. Saint-Cinquante, the green-labeled bottle, is the newest of the Chimay beers. It was first brewed in 2012 to celebrate the brewery's 150th year and was released more broadly just a couple years ago. This is a beer that defies easy categorization and demonstrates the Belgian impulse to brew the beer the brewer wants and then worry about what it will be called later. This 10% ABV beer is blonde in color and is most like Cinq-Cent, the triple, though there are definite differences. Saint-Cinquante has a little fuller body than its triple cousin we just talked about, though it shares that beer's firm hop bitterness. Yeasty notes of banana and pear rest over an earthy spice foundation, though the brewery does not release what spices they use. There is a touch of orange zest on the finish, so perhaps that's in the mix. I felt this beer had the bravado to wrestle with a bold bar that I had been having trouble finding many other pairings for. Omnam, Lakris, and Sea Salt is a white chocolate bar from Iceland made with licorice root, an ingredient common in Icelandic cuisine. While there are telltale black licorice notes to the bar, licorice root has a far rounder flavor than typical black licorice candy, bringing in notes of vanilla and rooibos tea. Paired together, the malt base of the beer absorbed much of the sharpness of the licorice, allowing the secondary and more pleasant flavors of licorice root to layer in with the fruit notes of the beer, while the beer's spice notes were clarified a bit too. Grand Reserve, the blue label, is the most regal and esteemed of the Chimay line. Grand Reserve is a quadruple, the strongest of the Belgian ale styles. Beers of this type have historically been brewed as feast beers for special guests or holidays at abbeys, though they are now mostly brewed year-round. Grand Reserve was first brewed in 1954 as a Christmas beer before eventually migrating to the year-round list at Chimay. Good quads pull a magic act of simultaneously feeling quite sweet, while in reality being fairly dry, and this beer exemplifies that. Grand Reserve has notes of plum and dried fruits, with a creamy and full perception that belies a relatively dry body. You might pick up flavors of dark, sweet bread, and as the beer ages, you might get more oxidative flavors of tobacco or sherry. Quadruples are often excellent candidates for experimenting with single-origin dark chocolates due to their complex but gentle flavor profiles and impression of sweetness. Grab some single-origin bars and a quadruple like Grand Reserve and see what your favorite is. One bar in particular that moves quite gracefully with this bold beer is Fire Tree Philippines Mindanao Island 73%, an earthy, chocolatey bar with subtle fruit notes of orange and banana. The pairing yielded the impression of rich brownies made with a fruity chocolate origin. For 2 complex halves, the whole was luxuriously simple. The beers of Chimay are pretty easy to get anywhere in the U.S. Yeah, you can often find them at well-stocked bottle shops, but if you're not able to find them at a shop near you, you can have them shipped to you from BelgianStyleAles.com. Full disclosure, I periodically lead virtual tasting events for Belgian Style Ales. I've got one coming up in February that I will release information on soon. Grab some chocolate from a great craft chocolate maker or order them from a site like Bar & Cocoa. Invite some friends and start pairing with the beers of Chimay and let me know what you find. I hope you enjoyed this short bonus episode of Bean to Barstool. This is the last Bean to Barstool episode of 2024. I will be back at the beginning of January with new episodes looking at the intersections of craft chocolate, craft beer, and other alcoholic beverages. Happy holidays, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Bean to Barstool.